Welcome back to Tips with Learn World.
Ever feel like English verb tenses are just this tangled mess?
Yeah.
Twisting your words into knots. You're trying to say something simple, and suddenly you're stuck. Should it be have been doing or just did? It happens, right? Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into this fascinating world of English verb tenses and forms. Our mission, to unpack these sometimes tricky structures, turn those complex rules into clear, actionable insights. So you can communicate with, precision and confidence. We really want to give you that aha moment for each one.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating here really is how each tense, each form serves a unique purpose. It allows us to convey incredibly specific nuances. Time, completion, attitude, it's all packed in there. And we'll be drawing all our insights today from a comprehensive set of notes on the English tense system.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We'll start with the present, which surprisingly isn't just about what's happening like right this second.
No, exactly. That's a really common misconception.
So what is the simple present actually for, if not now?
Right. The simple present, its core, is really about timelessness, or things that are generally true or habitual. Think habits. He drinks tea at breakfast. Or unchanging situations. I work in London. General truths, too. Water freezes at 0 degrees. And even fixed arrangements.
Right.
Your exam starts at 09.00. Oh, and instructions or directions.
Yeah.
You walk for 200 meters, then you turn left. So crucially, remember, it's not typically for actions happening at this very moment.
Okay, that makes sense. It's more about the permanent, the regular. But here's where it gets really interesting, or maybe just tricky. Those spelling quirks for the third person singular, like adding the S. Why the variations?
Ah, yes. The spelling, it trips people up sometimes. So in the third person singular, he, she, verbs usually just end in S, like he wants, simple enough. But if a verb ends in Y, and there's a consonant right before it, that U changes to S. So fly becomes flies, cry becomes cries.
Okay.
But if there's a vowel before the S, like in play, it just adds S, so plays. And one more rule. For verbs ending in those hissing or buzzing sounds like SX, X, we add, think he passes, she catches. It just makes it easier to say.
Got it. So if the simple present isn't usually for now, what tense is for what's happening right this very moment?
Ah, that's where the present continuous comes charging in. It's formed with the present tense of to be, am, is, are, plus the main verb with that ing ending. And this tense describes actions going on right now, at this very moment, like you are using the internet. It's also used for actions that are ongoing during a period, maybe a trend, like more and more people are becoming vegetarian. And interestingly, it can point to the future, but for planned events, we're going on holiday tomorrow.
Oh, right, like plans.
Exactly. And temporary situations, too. He usually plays the drums, but he's playing bass guitar tonight, just for tonight. And one more use, often with words like always or constantly, is to emphasize repeated actions, sometimes annoying ones. Harry and Sally are always arguing.
Huh. Yes, I think of examples. Okay, this raises an important question, though. Are there verbs that just don't like the continuous form? It sounds weird with ing.
Absolutely. A really key point. Many verbs, especially those referring to states rather than actions, things you are or feel rather than things you do, are typically used only in the simple form.
Like what kind of verbs?
Well, verbs of senses like hear, smell, see, verbs of opinion, believe, suppose, think when it means believe, mental states, know, understand, remember, emotions, love, hate, want, need, and also measurement or possession verbs like contain, cost, own, have when it means possess.
Okay, so those usually stay simple.
Usually. But here's the twist. Some of these state verbs can be used in the continuous form, but it changes the meaning.
Ah, okay. How so?
Take feel. This coat feels nice. That's perception, a state, simple present, but John's feeling much better now here. Feeling describes his health improving, an ongoing process, so continuous is fine.
Right, one's a state, one's more like an action or process.
Exactly. Or have. She has 3 dogs. That's possession. Simple present. But she's having supper means she's eating. It's an action. So continuous works.
That distinction is crucial. Okay, moving on slightly. We've talked about the present moment and general present truths. What about connecting the past to the present? That's the present perfect, isn't it?
You've hit the nail on the head. The present perfect creates this vital link between the past and now. The key thing is the exact time of the past action isn't specified, or it isn't the important part. We're often more interested in the result now.
The result now. Okay.
It's formed with have or has, the present tense of to have, plus the past participle of the main verb. Think gone, seen, eaten.
And when do we use it?
Several key situations. 1, actions that started in the past and are still going on. I have lived in Bristol since 1984. Implies I still live there. 2, actions done during a period that hasn't finished yet. She has been to the cinema twice this week. The week isn't over, she might go again.
Makes sense.
3, repeated actions in an unspecified period between the past and now. We have visited Portugal several times. We don't know exactly when, just that it happened. 4, actions just completed, often with just. I have just finished my work. The result, finished work, is immediate. And 5, actions where the time isn't important at all, just the fact that it happened. He has read War and Peace. The experience, the result, is what matters.
Okay, so the result is key. But what if the process of that past to present connection is the focus? The duration, maybe?
Excellent question. That's where the present perfect continuous comes in. This one's formed with have or has, then been, and then the present participle, the base verb, plus ing. It really emphasizes the duration of something that started in the past and either continues right up to now. Like,
Wow.
She has been waiting for you all day. The waiting started in the past and is still happening or just stopped. Or it emphasizes an action that has just finished but has a result we can still see or feel. It's been raining. You know this because the streets are still wet.
Okay. The evidence is there.
Precisely. But remember those state verbs we talked about, like know, hate,
Yeah.
want?
Yeah.
They aren't normally used in continuous forms. So even if you want to emphasize duration, you stick with the simple present perfect for them. You'd say, I've wanted to visit China for years, not I've been wanting. That just sounds a bit unnatural for want.
Right. Okay. That's a good reminder. So we've got all these ing words popping up everywhere. Present continuous, present perfect continuous. How do we tell the difference between an ing form used as part of a verb tense, like a participle, and when it's acting like a noun, a gerund? They look identical.
They do look identical, and that definitely causes confusion. It all comes down to their job in the sentence, their function.
Okay.
So present participles, think of them as doing verb-like or adjective-like work. They're part of continuous verb forms.
Right.
I am working. That's the most obvious one. They also pop up after verbs of movement and position. She went shopping. Or he lay looking up at the sky. And after verbs of perception, I heard someone singing. The ing describes what was perceived. They can also just be adjectives. What an amazing film. Or, look at that burning house. And with verbs like spend and waste, don't waste time playing computer games, they can even describe 2 actions happening at the same time. Whistling to himself, he walked down the road. Or, one action immediately following another. Dropping the gun, she put her hands up.
Wow, they do a lot of work.
They do, and sometimes they explain a reason. Feeling hungry, he went into the kitchen because he felt hungry.
Okay, so that's the participle. What about the gerund?
Gerunds are simpler in a way. They always act like nouns. Always.
Okay, so they name an activity.
Exactly. They can be the subject of the sentence. Eating people is wrong. Eating is the subject here. They can be the complement of the verb to be. One of his duties is attending meetings. Attending meetings is like a noun phrase here. They always follow prepositions. She is good at painting. Or, you can't succeed without opening your mouth. After at, after without, you need a gerund. They also follow certain specific verbs that just happen to take a gerund, like, I enjoy cooking, she suggested leaving.
Right, verbs like enjoy, suggest, avoid.
Yes, exactly. And they can be part of compound nouns. A swimming pool is a pool for swimming. Driving lessons or lessons in driving.
That noun function is the key difference then.
It really is. Function is everything.
Now, speaking of prepositions, that little word to, it can be part of an infinitive like to go, but sometimes it's a preposition, right? Especially in phrasal verbs like look forward to. How do we know when to use a gerund after to?
Ah, that's a classic tricky spot. You're right, to can be the infinitive marker or a preposition. With phrasal verbs or expressions like look forward to, be used to, get around to, object to, that to is usually a preposition.
So it needs a gerund.
Yes. And here's a quick test. See if you can mentally replace the potential gerund with the pronoun it. If the sentence still makes grammatical sense, to is a preposition and you need the gerund.
Okay, give me an example.
I look forward to hearing from you. Can you say, I look forward to it? Yes, you can. So to is a preposition and you need the gerund hearing. But compare that to I want to go. Can you say I want to it? No, sounds wrong. So here to is part of the infinitive to go.
That's a really useful trick. Look forward to it. Okay, so we've grounded ourselves in the present in all its forms. Now, let's step back in time, the past. It sounds simple enough, maybe simpler than the present.
You'd think so. And in some ways, the simple past is straightforward. It's sometimes called the preterite, if you want the fancy term. Basically, it describes a completed action in a time before now, finished, done.
Duration doesn't matter?
Nope, just that it's over. And it's almost always connected, explicitly or implicitly, to a definite past time. Think last week, yesterday, in 1999 when I was a child.
Okay, and how is it formed?
For regular verbs, you just add eat, easy, walked, played, watched. For negatives and questions, you bring in the auxiliary verb did or didn't, and then you use the base form of the main verb, the infinitive without to.
Right, so they didn't go, not didn't went, and did she arrive, not did she arrived.
Exactly. The did carries the past tense marker. And then, of course, you have the irregular verbs you just have to learn. Go becomes went, give becomes gave, see becomes saw. Lots of those.
The joys of English. Okay, simple past is for completed actions. What if an action was in progress in the past when something else happened? Like setting the scene for a past story.
Perfect way to describe it. That's the job of the past continuous. You form it with was or were, the past of to be, plus the base verb with ing, and its main use is to describe an unfinished background action that was happening when another, usually shorter, action interrupted it.
The classic example.
Right. I was having a beautiful dream when the alarm clock rang. The dream was in progress, the ringing interrupted it. It's also great for setting the scene in a narrative set in the past. The sun was shining and the birds were singing as the elephant came out of the jungle. Creates the atmosphere.
Yeah, you can picture it.
And one slightly different, quite subtle use with the verb wonder to make very polite requests. I was wondering if you could babysit for me tonight. It softens the request somehow.
Interesting. Okay, now for something a bit more complex. An action that happened before another past action. It's like a past within the past.
Exactly. That's the past perfect tense. The past before the past. You form it with had, the past of have, plus the past participle. Had gone, had seen, had eaten. Its function is crystal clear. It shows that one past event happened earlier than another past event.
Does it matter which one you mentioned first?
Not at all. The tense does the work. John had gone out when I arrived in the office. This tells us clearly. John left first, then I arrived, even though I mentioned my arrival second.
Right, the had signals the earlier action.
Precisely. You can also use just with it, like with the present perfect, to show something happened only a short time before the other past event. The train had just left when I arrived at the station. Emphasizes how close it was.
Okay, that's clear. And following the pattern, what if that earlier past action was a continuous process leading up to the second past event?
You're anticipating perfectly. That's the past perfect continuous, similar structure to the present perfect continuous, but shifted back. Had been, plus the base verb with ing, had been working, had been raining. It focuses on a process that was ongoing up to a specific point in the past. Either it finished just before that point, or perhaps it was still continuing at that point.
Example.
It had been raining hard for several hours and the streets were very wet. The rain, the process, happened before and led to the result, wet streets, at that past moment we're talking about. It shows the duration leading up to a past event. It's also used a lot in reported speech, when you're reporting something someone said using the past continuous or present perfect continuous.
Right, like he said he'd been waiting for ages.
Exactly that.
All right, we've navigated the past. Let's jump into the future. Peering ahead, what's the simple future all about? Is it just will?
Mostly will these days, yes. The simple future tense uses will, or occasionally shall, plus the base form of the verb, the infinitive without to, will go, will see, will eat. Its main job is expressing facts or certainty about a time later than now. Predictions. It will rain tomorrow.
Okay, predictions. What else?
Spontaneous decisions made at the moment of speaking. Someone says, the phone's ringing. You say, okay, I'll get it.
Ah, right. Not pre-planned.
Exactly. Also, expressing willingness. I'll do the washing up. Or in the negative, won't. Expressing unwillingness. The baby won't eat his soup. He refuses.
And what about shall? Does anyone still use it?
It's less common now, but yes, specifically with I or re in questions, to make offers or suggestions or ask for advice. Shall I open the window or shall we go?
But will is more common overall.
Definitely. In modern British and American English, will is the standard for most future uses.
Okay, what about actions that will be in progress at a specific time in the future? Like imagining yourself doing something then.
That's the future continuous. It lets us project ourselves forward. You form it with will be plus the base verb with ing, will be doing, will be traveling. Its purpose is to imagine an unfinished action at a particular future moment. This time next week, I will be sunbathing in Bali. You picture yourself in the middle of that action.
Sounds nice. Any other uses?
Yes, it can be used for predictions about the future, especially about what someone will be doing. He'll be coming to the meeting, I expect. It sounds a bit more casual or natural than, he will come. Also for polite questions about someone's plans. Will you be bringing your friend to the pub tonight? It's softer than will you bring. And talking about continuous events we expect to happen as a matter of course. I'll be seeing Jim at the conference next week. It implies it's a normal arrangement. Oh, and if you add still, it refers to actions happening now that you expect to continue into the future. In an hour, I'll still be ironing my clothes? Sadly.
Okay. Now, looking back from a point in the future, that feels like a real mind-bender, talking about something being finished before a future time.
It is a bit of a conceptual leap. That's the future perfect tense. Will have plus the past participle. Will have finished, will have left. Its whole purpose is to say that an action will be completed by or before a certain time in the future.
So you need that future time reference.
Almost always, yes. It makes most sense with an expression like, by next Friday, by the time you arrive in 3 years' time. For example, by the time you read this, I will have left. You're projecting to the future moment of reading and looking back at the leaving as already completed.
Okay, I think I get that. Completed by a future point.
Exactly.
And following the pattern one last time, the process leading up to that future completion point.
You've got it, the future perfect continuous. This one is will have been plus the base verb with ing. Will have been working, will have been waiting. This projects us forward to a future time, and then we look back at the duration of an ongoing process that will either be finished at that future point or will have been happening up until then.
So emphasizing the time spent.
Precisely. For example, I will have been waiting here for 3 hours by 6 o'clock. By the future point, 6 o'clock, the action, waiting, will have been happening for a specific duration, 3 hours.
Right. It emphasizes how long something will have been going on.
Exactly. It's less common than the others, but useful for stressing that duration into the future.
Q. Okay, that covers the main tenses. Now let's get into those what-if scenarios, conditionals. Why are they so important for nuanced communication? They seem to unlock a lot of possibilities.
They really do. Conditionals are crucial because they let us speculate, talk about possibilities, imagine hypothetical situations, express regrets, explore consequences. They nearly always have 2 parts. An if clause stating the condition and a main clause stating the result. And one of the most fascinating things here is this idea of the unreal past. Using a past tense form like the simple past or past perfect, but not actually talking about past time. It's a grammatical signal for hypothetical situations.
Interesting. Okay, let's start with the simplest, the zero conditional. What's that for?
Zero conditional is the foundation. It's for general truths, scientific facts, things that are always true if the condition is met, real and possible situations. Both the if clause and the main clause use the simple present tense. If you heat ice, it melts. It's a universal law.
And if could be when here.
Often, yes. When you heat ice, it melts because the result is certain and always happens.
Okay. Moving up a step, type 1 conditional.
Yeah.
Real possibilities.
Exactly. Type 1 deals with the possible condition in the present or future and its probable result. It's based on facts, real possibilities. The structure is simple present in the if clause and simple future, will plus base verb in the main clause. If it rains today, you will get wet.
So real possibility, likely outcome.
That's it. Often used for warnings or promises. You can also use modal verbs like can, might, should in the main clause to show different degrees of certainty or obligation. If you finish your work, you can go home.
Got it. Now for type 2, this is the hypothetical one, right? The if I were a rich man type.
Precisely. Type 2 is about unlikely or unreal situations in the present or future. It's contrary to the current facts, wishful thinking, often. The structure here uses the simple past in the if clause. This is that unreal past we mentioned, and the present conditional would plus base verb in the main clause.
Yeah.
If you went to bed earlier, you would not be so tired. The reality is you don't go to bed earlier, so you are tired. It's hypothetical. Or if I won the lottery, I would buy a big house. I probably won't win, so it's unreal.
And that's where if I were comes in.
Yes, it's grammatically correct, especially in more formal English or when giving advice, to use were for all persons in the if clause of type 2. If I were you, I would give up smoking. It strongly signals the hypothetical nature.
Okay, unreal present future, then type 3 must be about the past, the regrets.
Exactly. Type 3 is the too late conditional. It refers to an impossible condition in the past, something that didn't happen, and its probable but also impossible result in the past. It's purely hypothetical because you can't change the past, often carries a sense of regret or criticism.
What's the structure?
The if clause uses the past perfect, had, plus past participle, and the main clause uses the perfect conditional, would have, plus past participle. If you had studied harder, you would have passed the exam. The reality, you didn't study harder and you didn't pass. Too late now.
Right. Past condition, past result, both impossible now.
That's it. And watch out for that contraction D. If it's in the if clause, like if I'd known, it means had. If it's in the main clause before have, like I'd have visited, it means would.
Good tip. Now, what about mixing them up? Can you have a past condition with a present result or vice versa?
Absolutely. These are mixed conditionals, and they show real mastery. They link different time frames.
Okay, how does that work?
Two main types. First, a present result of a past condition. This uses the past perfect in the if clause, like type 3, and the present conditional in the main clause, like type 2. Example. If I had worked harder at school, I would have a better job now. Past unreal condition, didn't work harder, leads to a present unreal situation. Don't have a better job.
Wow, okay. Links the past regret to the present situation.
Exactly. The second type is a past result of a present or continuing condition. This uses the simple past in the if clause, like type 2, and the perfect conditional in the main clause, like type 3. Example. If I wasn't afraid of spiders, I would have picked it up. The present continuing condition, being afraid of spiders, which is unreal in the context, maybe the speaker is afraid, affects a past action, not picking it up.
That's quite sophisticated, connecting present states to past actions.
It is. Mixed conditionals allow for very precise cause and effect statements across time.
Okay, moving beyond tenses and conditions slightly. Let's talk about the base form of the verb, the infinitive, and also how we shift focus using the passive voice. First, infinitives.
Right. The infinitive is the basic unconjugated form of the verb. Often we see it with to infinitive, like to sit, to eat. But sometimes it appears without to. That's the zero infinitive or bare infinitive, just sit, eat.
And negative is not to.
Always not before the infinitive, whether it's to or zero. I decided not to go. You better not wait.
So when do we use the to infinitive?
Oh, many situations. To show purpose. She came to collect her paycheck. Why did she come? To collect it. As the subject of a sentence. To be or not to be, that is the question. To show what something can be used for. I need a garden to play in. After many adjectives, it is good to talk. I'm happy to help. To make comments or judgments. That is a dangerous way to behave. With to and enough. It's too hot to eat. He's not old enough to vote. And after question words like how, what, where, when, she asked me how to use the washing machine.
Okay, quite versatile. What about the zero infinitive without to?
That has specific triggers, too. After most modal auxiliary verbs, she can't speak, you must go. Not must to go. After verbs of perception like see, hear, feel, watch, and the pattern verb plus object plus zero infinitive, he saw her fall from the cliff, not saw her to fall. After make and let in the active voice, her parents let her stay out late. They made him wait. After the expression had better, you'd better give me your address. And often with why when making suggestions. Why wait until tomorrow? Why not ask him?
Okay, specific context for the bare form. Now finally, the passive voice. When the doer of the action isn't the star or isn't known.
Exactly. The passive voice flips the focus. We use it when we're more interested in the person or object that experiences the action, rather than the person or object performing it.
So the action itself, or the thing affected, becomes the subject.
Precisely. The house was built in 1654. Our focus is on the house and when it was built, not who built it. We often use it when the performer, the agent, is unknown, unimportant, or obvious. All the cookies have been eaten. We don't know who ate them, or maybe we don't want to say.
Makes sense.
It's common in more formal writing, like scientific reports or news articles, where the process or result is more important than the agent. The new drug was tested successfully. Though, a word of caution. Overuse of the passive can make writing sound vague or indirect. Active voice is often clearer and more dynamic.
But if you want to say who did it,
You can add a by phrase. The movie E.T. was directed by Spielberg, but only if mentioning the agent adds important information.
and how is it formed, generally?
It always uses a form of the verb to be in the appropriate tense followed by the past participle of the main verb. And this structure works across tenses: simple, present passive, the house is cleaned every week, past continuous passive, the house was being cleaned when I arrived, future perfect passive, the house will have been cleaned by tomorrow.
So be plus past participle is the core structure.
That's the heart of it. And you can have passive infinitives, too. You have to be tested on your English grammar, or passive gerunds. Most film stars hate being interviewed. A special case is to be born. It's always passive, usually past tense. I was born in 1976, but can be present or future. Around 100 babies are born in this hospital every week.
Wow, okay. We have covered a lot of ground today. Seriously deep dive, from those subtle present tense differences through the past and future, conditionals, infinitives, passive. It's quite a system.
It really is. And when you connect it all, you see it's not just about arbitrary grammar rules. It's
Yeah.
about having the tools to express incredibly precise meanings about time, reality, possibility, focus. Understanding these structures gives you mastery over how you shape your message, how you relate events, how you guide your listeners' or readers' attention. It's about impact.
So the takeaway for everyone listening, what should they be thinking about? Maybe next time you read something or even hear someone speak, pause for a second. Don't just get the what. Think about the how and when. Why that specific tense? What nuance is the speaker or writer trying to convey? Does understanding the why behind the grammar change how you interpret it all? How might you use that nuance yourself? Keep exploring, keep asking those questions. It really opens up the language.